Ever catch yourself like daydreaming about, having it all? And I don't just mean like piles of cash, but that deep down feeling of abundance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, today's deep dive, we're talking about tapping into that. We're going to explore wealth, not as like a bank statement, but as a state of mind.
I like it.
And get this, it's rooted in, believe it or not, biblical principles.
Yeah, it's funny. You'd be surprised how much ancient wisdom can actually help your modern wallet.
Huh.
We're diving into an episode from podcast WC Audiobooks.
Okay.
It's called Beyond Money, True Wealth According to the Scriptures. And we're going to break down how those principles can like totally change how you think about your finances.
So just to be clear, we're not like preaching prosperity gospel here.
No.
This is different.
This is different. It's about seeing money through a whole new lens.
Okay.
It's like, imagine you're building a house.
Right. Okay.
You don't just slap on a fancy roof without a solid foundation.
Right.
And the episode suggests that your mindset, that's the foundation.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
Yeah.
So how do we build that foundation? Biblically speaking, of course.
Well, they actually use a really interesting example that Abraham, known for his wealth, but also for like really trusting in something bigger.
Right.
He went through some serious financial ups and downs,
Mm-hmm.
but he always seemed to land on his feet. So it makes you wonder how much of that was luck
Right.
and how much was about like aligning his actions with a bigger vision.
That is fascinating. It's like all those lucky breaks that successful people seem to get.
Right?
Is it really just chance, or are they like tuned into something more?
Exactly. And that ties into this whole idea of like a mentality of abundance. This episode, it really digs deep into that. And it's not about like just wishing for things.
No.
It's about seeing potential where other people might just see like roadblocks or scarcity.
So we're talking about like manifesting here,
Not exactly.
vision boards and all that.
It's more about your actions lining up with that mindset. Actually, you know what they use as an example?
What's that?
Ants.
Hold on. Like the ant in Proverbs.
Yeah.
Go to the ant, you sluggard. I remember that.
It's so easy to just read that as like a simple work ethic lesson, right?
Yeah.
But they go deeper. The ant doesn't just work hard, it's strategic.
Oh.
Gathers in the summer, prepares for winter. That little dude is a master of resource management.
That's a really cool way to look at it. So are we saying budgeting is like a biblical principle? Because internet needs some serious help on that front.
Think of it more broadly. Like, apply that same foresight, that planning to your finances, just like the ant, right? Build a diversified portfolio, maybe some stocks, some bonds, a little rainy day fund. Make sure you're ready for whatever comes your way.
Wow, I never thought of it that way. This is exactly the kind of like practical advice I was hoping for. But it's not just about hoarding resources, is it?
No, definitely not. And this is where things get really, really interesting. The episode, it dives into this whole concept of stewardship.
Stewardship. I feel like I've heard that in church, but what does that have to do with my bank account?
Okay, so imagine you're entrusted with something super valuable.
Okay.
Like a beautiful garden.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't just neglect it, right?
Right.
You take care of it, invest in it, make sure it thrives. Stewardship of your money. It's kind of the same idea.
Okay, that's a really powerful way to put it. So it's not just about what we own, it's about managing it well for the long term. But isn't that a lot of pressure? Like, what if we mess up?
That's totally natural. We're all works in progress, right?
Mhm.
This isn't about being perfect with your money.
Okay.
It's about being intentional, just like a good gardener tending to their plants.
Hmm.
And speaking of investing,
Ooh, are we going to talk about the parable of the talents?
we are.
Because full disclosure, that one always kind of freaked me out.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit.
Interesting. You know what? That little bit of fear you're feeling, that's actually what makes that parable so powerful.
Really?
It speaks to that fear we all have about money, right?
Yeah.
The fear of messing up, making the wrong choice.
Exactly. It's like, am I burying my talents because I'm scared?
Yeah.
Or am I actually using them wisely? It feels like there's so much pressure to make the right financial moves.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where that solid foundation comes in, that biblical mindset.
Yeah.
It's about shifting from fear to like wise action.
So how does the parable actually guide us towards those wise actions, financially, I mean?
Well, remember the master in the story? He wasn't upset that the servants didn't make like a zillion talents.
Right.
He was upset that they did nothing with what they were given. So it's about taking that first step,
Correct.
even if it feels small, maybe it's finally setting up that 401k
Right.
or having that maybe slightly awkward conversation with your partner about a budget.
Yeah.
It's about taking action, even if you're a little afraid.
I like that. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
It's not about having all the answers right away. It's about taking those initial steps.
Exactly. And they make another really important point in this episode, something people often forget about.
What's that giving?
Okay, see, this is where I need some help. Like, I
Yeah.
get it, generosity is important and all, but when you're trying to get your own finances in order,
Right.
giving can feel kind of impossible.
Yeah, it's easy to think that giving is just for, like, the super rich.
Right.
But the episode, it highlights this great line from the Bible, little is much when God is in it. It's about the heart behind it
Oh.
and not just the dollar amount.
So even if someone can only give a tiny bit, it can still make a difference.
Absolutely. And it goes back to that mindset shift, right?
Yeah.
When we focus on what we can give, even if it's small, it opens us up to this, like, mindset of abundance.
That makes sense. Like when we're stuck in that scarcity mindset, it's hard to see the good stuff, you
Yeah.
know? But when we approach our finances with that generosity,
Yeah. It changes everything.
totally. And, you know, it doesn't just have to be money. Generosity, I mean. It can be your time,
Oh,
your skills. Maybe you volunteer at a financial literacy program or something, or mentor someone who's like struggling with their finances.
yeah.
It's about using what you have to make a difference.
I love that. It makes generosity doable for everyone. But let's talk practical application for a sec. They talk a lot about diversification and investing, right?
Yeah, just like the ant. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Right. Yeah.
Stocks, bonds, maybe some real estate, depending on how much risk you're comfortable with.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But all that financial stuff can feel kind of overwhelming, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
How do they deal with that in the episode?
They're big on financial literacy. They really emphasize, like, understanding the basics.
Okay.
Budgeting, investing, even just, like, how interest rates work.
Mm-hmm.
That knowledge gives you the power to make good decisions about your money.
Knowledge is power, right?
Uh-huh.
But there's so much info out there. Where do you even start?
They say start small and be consistent.
Okay.
Just like those little ants diligently collecting their food. Maybe you read one personal finance article a week.
Right.
Or listen to a podcast like this one.
Hey, I like the way you think.
Mm.
But even with the best intentions, life happens, right? Unexpected expenses. Our budgets go out the window. How do you stay resilient when those financial curveballs inevitably come your way?
You know, that's actually a really important point because it's not just about like the nuts and bolts of managing money, right? It's about having that deeper why,
Right.
that thing that keeps you going when stuff hits the fan.
Okay, I like that. So what do they say about that?
Well, they use this phrase, aligning your spending with your values.
Aligning your spending with your values.
So like every time you use your credit card, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of voting for the world you want to see.
Wow. I've never thought about it that way. So it's about like really paying attention to our spending habits
Yes.
and making sure they actually reflect what's important to us, not just like what we want in the moment.
Exactly. Like, let's say you're all about experiences,
Oh,
more than like having a bunch of stuff.
yeah.
Maybe you spend less on the latest gadgets and more on travel or, you know, whatever floats your boat.
Right, right. Or if you're really passionate about like saving the planet, you might buy eco-friendly stuff.
There you go.
Support businesses that are doing good things.
It's not about deprivation. It's about like making choices that feel good in your bank account and, you know, for your soul.
I love that.
Yeah.
So it's not about having the most toys. It's about using your resources to create a life that's actually fulfilling.
Nailed it. It's about relationships, experiences, purpose. That's true wealth.
Man, that is refreshing,
Yes.
especially in a world that's obsessed with like who has the most stuff.
It's easy to forget, right? True wealth. It's way bigger than your net worth.
This deep dive has been amazing. We've talked about how biblical principles, which some people might think are like outdated, actually offer a really powerful framework for building a life of not just financial well-being, but true abundance.
And you know what's cool? Even though these principles are like super old, they're still so relevant today.
Totally. And I think that's a great takeaway for our listeners. It's not about following a bunch of rules blindly.
Right.
It's about taking these ideas and like making them work for your life, your own goals and dreams.
Yeah, that's...
That's a powerful thought. So as we wrap up here, we want to leave you with this. What does true wealth mean to you?
That's the question right there.
How can you use your resources, big or small, to create a life that's not just wealthy, but truly deeply fulfilling.
Keep asking those questions. Keep learning. Keep diving deep.
And on that note, until next time.